adverbial clause is an adverbial phrase. Yes, you're right. It's an adverbial phrase. It's not a clause because it in a lavish way is a prepositional phrase, and it doesn't have a sentence like nature, meaning it's not sentential in nature. We will call something as an adverbial clause which is sentential in nature. I'm going to talk about adverbial clause today. Because it modifies the verb celebrating. No, it is adverbial clause in the sense that it is adverbial phrase, not because it is modifying the verb celebrating. Wait. Ramesh is celebrating his promotion. Is celebrating is in a lavish way. Is an adjunct, yes. And this is a verbal VP adjunct, correct? Where it is modifying celebration. Celebration in a lavish way. Celebrating in a lavish way, correct. This part is correct. So all that we need to understand from here is in a lavish way is a prepositional phrase, and therefore it's an adverbial phrase. It's not a clause. That's all is the difference between. So I hope your doubt is cleared. Is that all, Aishwarya? Do you have more?
Sir, yes, sir. I'll pose the next question.
Yeah, please put the next one. And then we are going to go to the other people. Okay. Okay, just a moment. Hang on. Okay, so sorry, just a moment. So the man whose house I passed by every day on my way to the coffee shop was a recluse who was never seen outside except during the monsoon. When he would emerge to spoil, he would emerge to sail paper boats in puddles, which would form in his garden. Sentence has. Okay, so you're basically talking about number of clauses. So yeah, it looks like there are a lot of number of clauses. So the answer may be right. So everywhere you see the main clause is the man passed by was a recluse. The man was a recluse So, yeah, that's all in the sentence. The man was a recluse. And rest of the things in this sentence are clauses. The first one, whose house I passed by every day on my way to the coffee shop, is a relative clause. In the adjectival clause. Uh, who was never seen outside except during the monsoon. This is also an adjectival clause, meaning relative clause. Two relative clauses modifying the same noun, the man. During the monsoon, who was never seen outside except during the monsoon. And within this clause, you have another clause when he, so no, not within this clause. When he would emerge to sail the paper boats in the puddle is an adverbial clause here. So that's the third one, which she would form in his garden, fourth one. So I think the one has to count. Just a minute. Whose house I passed by every day on my way to the coffee shop. One. Who was never seen outside except during the monsoon. Two. When he would emerge to sail the paper boat. Three. He would she would form in the garden. For Ashwarya, to me, there appears to be only four clauses. Oh, no, wait. Five clauses. One is the main one. What's the question in this sentence? The sentence has clauses. Okay, so one is the independent clause and four dependent clause, right? So the total five clauses.
Yes.
Okay, I get it. So there are four dependent clauses in this sentence and one independent clause. I'm not able to figure out the clause according to answer. There should be five, but someone can tell me which type of clauses are they. I have just described to you. Some of them are most of them are adjectival clause, that is relative clause. Only one is adverbial clause. The independent clause is the man was a recluse. Correct. That's the answer. Sorry about the time I took to explain this to you. So that's correct. Hope this is clear to everybody. Next question, Aishwarya.
So that's all, sir. The rest
That's
others
all.
are answered by Nina and Shweta in the group.
Okay, so the rest of them are answered. So you had these two questions. So, okay, guys, hope this was clear to you. Now, if you have questions, please unmute yourself and talk. And based on these two questions and following up from what we discussed last time, I am going to talk about a few things for adverbial clauses today. So please feel free to shoot your questions if you have any. No questions? I can see at least 10 people here. Yeah.
Sir, I'm unable to identify noun clauses.
You are unable to identify noun clauses where? Sridhar, go ahead. Let's talk about it. And I will try to explain this to you. Sridhar?
Yes, sir, I'm just.
I cannot hear you. Can you bring in the mic closer or can you remove the mic from your first sentence was very clear.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, much better. Go ahead. What I want to know is are you talking about a particular sentence or you are talking about noun clauses in general? What is the confusion? What's the problem?
Yes, sir. Sir, generally talking about, sir, noun clauses.
Okay, see, okay, allow me to describe this thing to you in a couple of minutes, and then hopefully it will make sense.
Okay,
Is
sir.
there any other question related to noun clause? See, okay, let me talk about this. Last time when I was talking to you about a sentence, I was telling you sentence equals to subject plus predicate. This is a sentence. In this
Yes,
sentence,
sir.
so this is all about a sentence. And the two parts that you see, subject and predicate, these two parts are connected with something called agreement. This is the important information about the sentence. In English, we see only when we say agreement, what do we mean by agreement? Agreement is all about features matching or features spreading. And these features means number, person, and gender. There are three things that get combined together in agreement. What we need to keep in mind in English is gender does not play any role in English. Largely, it doesn't. Only in terms of agreement, keep in mind. I'm only talking about agreement. Gender plays an important role for agreement in Indian languages. Not all Indian languages, but in some. However, number and person are important for English. But they may not be visible all the time. They do play a role, but they may not be visible. What do I mean by visibility? Visible means there may not be obvious markers on the verb. For example, when we say John plays football, you see, John is singular in terms of number and third person in terms of person. So there is a marker of this thing. If we want to say there is a marker, this S that you see on the verb is kind of a marker of this third person singular number on the verb. But on John, there is no marker. Same thing when they become plural, like John and Mary like each other. You don't see any marker on the verb like. Nonetheless, John and Mary, there is plurality here and third person. So there is no mark. You don't see any marker on the verb. If you do the maths carefully, you can say even on the previous sentence, John plays football, there was no marker of person. This S that you see on the verb plays is the marker of only number, which is singularity. If you understand this much, then you understand the crux of the sentence. And I don't want to go into too much of details. Now, if you understand this much, the crux of the detail, the crux of the sentence, then comes the clause. And here goes the question from Sridhar. He's talking about noun clauses. Noun clauses, so you have seen, you have adjectival clauses and adverbial clauses. There are roughly two types of clauses. Adjectival clauses are also known as relative clauses because relative clauses modify nouns and they begin with a relative pronoun, who, which, where type of pronoun. Keep in mind here at this point that words like who, when, what, where, you have known these words so far as question words in English. I am not telling you anything new. You already know these things. However, I am only underlining them that these words, of course, they are question words, but they are also used as relative pronouns beginning a sentence. Like you have seen many sentences where before, uh, please go back to the sentences that we were discussing, where you have seen sentences like the man whose house I passed by every day on my way to the coffee shop. When you see whose here, of whose house, this is called a relative pronoun. This is a relative pronoun. And this whole sentence, whose house I passed by every day on my way to the coffee shop, is called a relative pronoun. It is called a relative clause because, like an adjective, this clause is modifying the noun, the man. Okay? And because it is whole sentence, so it is called adjectival sentence. Grammatically speaking, they are relative clauses. So relative clauses are called adjectival clauses also. The other one is adverbial clause. Okay? Adverbial clauses do not modify a particular thing. And adverbial clauses adverbial clauses can be deleted, can be removed from a sentence, but cannot be. The adverbial clauses does not modify a noun in a particular way. You see, when he would emerge to sail his paper boats, in the same sentence, in the muddle, in the puddle, is a relative clause. Is an adverbial clause. Or you can find adverbial clauses. I was going to talk to you about adverbial clauses today. You can find adverbial clauses, a lot of adverbial clauses in many sentences. And you know, when we say things like uh, af- after the rain stopped, we walked the road, or you can say we we continued our evening walk after the rain stopped. After the rain stopped is an adverbial clause. So like I said before, you can delete, you can remove the clause from the sentence. It won't make any difference to the grammaticality of a sentence, but it is not modifying a particular noun the way relative clauses do. And it is called, adverbs can be a word like yesterday, today, fast, slow. These are words. Adverbs as words. You can have adverbs as a phrase, as you have seen in the sentence, in the lavish way. John was celebrating his retirement in the lavish way. John was celebrating his promotion in a lavish way. So that's a prepositional phrase. So that is called a phrasal adverb. Then you can have sentential adverb, and that is called adverbial clause. So when you have a sentence with a subject and the verb, and it is telling you something about the, the main clause, the main sentence, that is called adverbial clause. So adverbs can come in three different ways. It can come as a word, it can come as a phrase, and it can come as a whole sentence. When it comes as a whole sentence, then it is called adverbial clause. These are the two types of clauses. Now, in a real way, I am going to the question raised by Sridhar now. So Sridhar, noun clauses are, there are two ways to understand noun clauses. One, a clause that modifies the noun. This is one way of defining a noun clause, one type of noun. There could be two types of noun clause. And the another one, which is basically the same thing, a clause that can, a whole clause that can replace a noun. This is how we identify noun clauses. But my main idea was to tell you the whole picture of a sentence, and I tried to explain the differences and similarities between clause and a sentence last time. I also tried to describe a main clause, that is the matrix clause, or what Professor Chaudhary calls in his videos independent clause. They are all the same thing. And dependent clauses, or a subordinate clause, or what we know as adjectival clause or adverbial clauses, I have tried to describe them in a particular way to you today. So to go back to your question again, you can a noun clause is a clause which modifies a noun. You can even if you just look at this much, you will be able to identify noun clauses. Okay, so that. Anybody else has any difficulty, problems, and would like to say something, please feel free. No. Okay, just a moment, guys. No, you cannot stay here. Move it home. All right. Are there questions? Are there more questions, guys? I see silence.
Study.
Oh, there is a question from Raja. Just a minute. I have been learning music for 5 years. Will the following analysis be correct? Subject: I have been learning music. No, Raja, not like that. So I will tell you to go. Just one moment. Please understand, subject is I, sure. Verb is not have. The verb is learn in this sentence. Verb is learn. This is the verb. The marker ing that you see on the verb is called, is grammatically called, if you want to know these details, it's called aspect. More accurately, there are multiple types of aspect. This is called continuous aspect. Continuous aspect. And have that you see is the marker of present tense. And been is additional marker which is been and ing to so basically been is also the marker of continuity. Together, this is and that is how together it is called present perfect continuous. So present perfect continuous that I am writing right now is basically these are the things represented by have, been, and ing. So, and for the 5 years, for the last 5 years or something that you had mentioned in the sentence, I don't remember. For 5 years, I have been learning music. Music is the object of the verb learn, because learn is a transitive verb, and for the 5 years is the time adverb. Yes, that is, so the only adverb in this sentence is for 5 years. That's how we describe the different constituents, different parts of the sentence to understand them at large. Okay, hope this is making sense to you. All right. Anything else from anybody? Noun apposition. What is noun apposition? Is it there in any one of the is it any phrase that Professor Chaudhary has used somewhere? Is this, guys, can you help me understand? Is this one of the phrase? I can definitely explain this to you. This means like a noun clause. It's another word for noun clause, basically. So, you know, I don't have an example from top of my mind, but it is also in terms of modification. This is used in terms of modification of a noun. Sometimes we can use another word to modify a noun. That doesn't have to be adjectival in nature, and that is called two nouns together. When they look like two nouns together, that is called noun apposition. But what I want to know, Nitish, from you is, has it been used somewhere in one of our videos or something? Can you please let me know?
Sir, can I say
It is
something?
one of the topic.
It is one of the topics.
Yes, sir. Can I say something?
Yeah, please go ahead, Nitish.
Sir,
Yes.
there is a sentence like, I believe that these times will end.
I believe that.
These times will end.
Okay.
Contains a noun clause in apposition. Sir, I don't know what is apposition.
Yeah. So these time. So the word these is
Yes, sir.
apposition to the noun times. Okay. So basically, time is the noun, and these as a pronoun is apposition is before the noun. Okay. If apposition, the phrase apposition means something that comes before the noun. So if there is, I'm glad you gave this example. And in this example, these times, look at this phrase, these times. So these as a pronoun appears like apposition to the noun times. So I believe that these times will end. What was the sentence again? Can you please say? These times will end
Yeah, sir,
soon.
right. You're right, sir.
These times will end soon. So that is what. So if you understand the meaning of the word apposition, it will become clearer to you. I believe, and the reason why he calls this in the noun clause is because that these times will end soon. The whole that clause he is
No, sir.
taking as a clause which is an object to the verb believe. Do you get it? Who was asking this question? Just a minute, Sridhar. I am coming to your question. Who was Nitish? Did you understand that? I believe that these times will end soon. That these times will end soon, Professor Chaudhary is using as noun clause because it can replace it is an object and it can replace an object like a word. I can say I believe you. Are you with me? Do you understand? I can say I believe you. In this one, in this
Yes, sir.
sentence, you is just one word. It's a noun. It's rather a pronoun. Or I can say I believe Nitish. You see, this is a noun. In this place, you can have the whole clause that these times will end soon. And this also applies to the question that somebody else was asking. I think Raja was asking before, what is a noun clause? So Professor Chaudhary means noun. Professor Chaudhary uses noun clause also for these things. That a clause which can replace a word. So this is the whole clause which can be taken as a noun clause. But Nitish, to be more specific to your question, in the presence of in this noun clause, these times, these is apposition to noun, which is an apposition, whatever you were asking, noun apposition. This is the meaning of noun apposition. I'm glad. Thanks for the example.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Sridhar is asking, the policeman who was also my brother helped us file a complaint. The noun clause is in apposition. The noun clause in apposition is okay. The policeman. The noun clause the policeman. Okay. Is this a question that has been given to you, Sridhar? Can you speak, Sridhar?
Yes, sir.
Trespassers are not allowed. Okay. So the noun clause in apposition is the policeman, right? Can somebody confirm? Aishwarya, where was this question given?
So it is in the practice assignment, sir, and the noun of apposition is who.
Who was
Yes. Who was also my brother.
also okay? So this okay. I'm sorry. Yes, that is correct because this whole clause can be used as the whole clause is modifying the noun policeman. Okay. So that's how it will be in apposition to this clause. Okay. Raja, what is this? Trespassers are not allowed? Is that a question? What will be the mood in this sentence? Trespassers are not allowed. Is this also a question that has been given to you?
Sir, in week 3 lecture, I forgot, sir, where some teacher taught us about the mood. So I had some confusion on subjunctive, indicative, and
Okay.
third
Please,
category.
please look at that. If this is a video that I have created, then I have tried to make it clear what we mean by subjunctive mood, what we mean by indicative mood, and in this one, trespassers are not allowed. This is a passive sentence, and there is no modality here in this sentence.
Okay, sir.
Solution. So please go back to that, take a look at it, and if I have given any sentence like this, trespassers are not allowed or anything, please do bring it back. I don't remember that from top of my mind, so I can say that much for this. Please share the solution PDF for the previous week. It will be coming to you. Who is AP? AP. You guys, you can write your full name so that at least we are unable to meet with each other. I know at least for this class, pandemic is not responsible. With pandemic or without pandemic, this class was going to be online like this. So you can, if you write your full name, at least that way we will know few names out of many people registered for these courses and some who come online for various things. So you can come. Okay. Okay. Anybody else wants to know anything else? So I talked about a sentence. I only need to tell you just a few things about adverbial clauses, other than what the way we described relative clauses. There is a difference between relative clause and adverbial clause. While you are asking any question, I am generally telling you these things. The difference between adverbial clause and adjectival clause is adjectival clauses necessarily modify a noun, or for that matter a pronoun, where we don't make any distinction between a noun and a pronoun. But adverbial clauses are answers to many things like when, why, and they are adverbial in nature in the sense that they are additional information in the sentence. It is possible that they are talking about verbs. They have to talk about verbs because they are adverbial. But important part is they are not modifying any noun. And this information is important in particular because you have been given in some previous videos, you have been given to understand adverbial clauses and adjectival clauses together. So I feel it is important to underline that one big difference between an adverbial clause and an adjectival clause is adverbial clauses do not modify a particular noun the way adjectival clauses do. In other words, when I say adjectival clauses, I mean relative clauses. And those relative clauses always begin with relative pronouns. Sometimes relative pronouns can be made optional, but mostly they begin with a relative pronoun like who, what, how, depending upon which noun in a sentence is being modified. What type of noun in a sentence is being modified? This is the distinction between adjectival clause and adverbial clause. So there is one more thing I have been telling you. Adjective for relative clauses, relative pronouns are who, what, when, where. But sometimes even that can be used as a relative pronoun. Any question, guys?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, if there is an adjectival clause modifying an object noun, will that clause be considered an adjunct, or only adverbial clauses are to be considered as adjunct?
Only adverbial clauses are considered to be adjunct. If the moment you have an adjectival clause modifying a noun, okay, it
Yes,
becomes
sir.
part of that noun. So it does not remain. Very good question, Raja. Very amazing question. Adjectival clauses are not adjunct in the nature because those adjectival clauses become part of the noun they modify. So if, and like you said, if a noun is at an object position, can the clause be adjectival, adverbial? No, the clause will also become part of the object. So it becomes an necessary part of this part of the sentence, not adverbial or the adjunct in the nature.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Anything else, guys? Yeah, this is when can we expect information and engagement being online or remotely proctored? That only admin people will decide, AP. I do not have this information with me. I am not sure either Ishwarya, Kartika, or Shweta has any kind of information about this. Neither do I have.
They've not yet made a decision about these, sir. They are still
Right,
working.
right. Yeah, there is. There is another week of serious lockdown in Tamil Nadu that has been extended, and many different parts of the country has different types and duration of lockdown imposed. So that is definitely one of the reasons what is causing delay in making this decision of online proctoring or offline proctoring. I don't know what. I think last time this got operated with the help of TCS or something. So we are stuck in a very bad situation uh, with these things, and that is probably causing the problem. So we don't know correct answer to this, AP, but I'm sure as soon as things improve or admin people find a solution, they will inform you well within time. That much I can assure you. They will give you sufficient time for your exam. There are still, I think, other than 5 of us, there are still 14 people. Nothing? Avilaksha, Aryan, Asim, no questions, nothing. Ayush, Cherian. Any part that you would like to me to explain further from the videos that you have seen so far? Or videos that you have gone through so far? Anything you would like me to explain? Any concept, any term, anything? There is something, please let me know.
The aspect.
Aspect. Okay. Okay. Is this AP Aditya?
So
Aditya? No? This is somebody else.
I have a question.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, actually, the apposition and opposition, these two things is not clear exactly.
Right, it's not apposition, it's apposition.
Apposition.
Apposition, yeah, it's not apposition.
Oh. So,
These are
how,
these are the grammatical terms, Asim. There is another term. I try not to use multiple grammatical terms, though sometimes we have to use them to explain certain concepts. There is another term in the same context all of you can learn. It is called adposition. Adposition. And adposition is a cover term for prepositions. And the reason why terms are used this way, the reason is the following. In English, there is a very simple way to find out what is a preposition. Prepositions can always precede a noun, and this is also a very simple trick or simple method to identify nouns. That if the word that follows a preposition can only be a noun, nothing else in the entire grammar. And this part that I am telling you is not just relevant for English grammar, this is true for all languages. Now, talking about all languages, in English, we have the concept of prepositions. In other languages like Tamil or Malayalam or Kannada or Bangla, you have postpositions. So the term adposition is used for both together, whether they precede the noun or they follow the noun. Similarly, apposition is used for a noun or a noun phrase or a clause that modifies a noun, and it can come before the noun or after. Usually, if there is a sentence that follows the noun, a sentence will necessarily not precede the noun. Therefore, these words are less commonly used words. Therefore, they don't sound that clear to us. Hope this makes sense to you.
yes.
Somebody was asking about apps. What was that? I forgot.
Aspect, sir.
Aspect. Yeah. Okay, very nice. Okay, I can explain that to you. Very simple. You see, aspect is another abstract concept in a sentence, another abstract notion. It is, however, unlike tense, it is visible all the time. So most of the time, aspect comes together with tense. The reason why aspect and tense are clubbed together is you can have aspect only when you have tense in a sentence. Only tense sentences get aspects. Now, I'm saying so many things about aspects. Now I want to tell you, what is it? What is aspect? Just like tense tells you about time of the action, and aspect tells you about the condition, about the, can be the other word for that, nature of the not nature, about the, okay, let me say more, then I'll word. Basically, condition of the action. And aspect also comes only on the action verbs. So, for example, you have three tenses: present, past, and future. Let's call future also tense. Three tenses. But there are four aspects. And so, for example, and words are like indefinite aspect, continuous aspect, perfective aspect, and the fourth one, which is very rarely used, it's called perfect continuous. The sentence that somebody had given before, I have been learning something. So take a sentence. We have a video on that, but since you are interested, I can give it to you right away. So I am writing a book. Look at this sentence. This ing part is the marker of continuous aspect. Continuous aspect. Why? However, am, which is also known as helping verb, some people know this as auxiliary verb, but actually in reality they are a word like am or is or are. These are the words, they are auxiliary verbs, they are helping verbs, but they are grammatically speaking tense markers. So look at two sentences, two simple similar sentences, it will become clearer to you. I am writing a book as opposed to I was writing a book. What's the only difference in the two sentences is I am writing is the present tense in present tense, and I was writing a book is in past tense. So am is present tense marker and was is past tense. But do you see this ing marker on the verb in both the tenses? This marking is for aspect, which tells you about the situation of that action, in the sense that when I say I was writing, I am trying to describe the act of writing in continuity in the past tense. This is the strength, beauty, or you can say complexity of human language, that we can talk about something that was in continuity in the past time. So this is called continue. We can call both Ayush. We can call they are mutually exclusive term, continuous aspect or progressive aspect, as long as we understand that they mean the same thing. Similarly, we have something like when I say I live in Chennai. ing is a visible marker. Sometimes aspects are not visible. On the verb live in this sentence, there is no marking. There is no marking for tense. There is no marking for number, agreement also, and there is no marking for aspect. This is called zero marking. Meaning, some grammatical categories, they are there, but they are not visible. They are there, they are not visible. Therefore, they are called zero. And as you know, if you understand mathematics carefully, zero doesn't mean nothing. Zero has different meaning. I don't want to go into that philosophical debate, but it's called zero marking because it's not absent. So this is called indefinite. Indefinite aspect. Simply because indefinite, or some people call it, who was asking me the last question? Ayush. And before Ayush asks me, I will use another term, indefinite, or there is another word for that. Habitual. Yes, the word is habitual aspect. Indefinite aspect or habitual aspect, because it's when I say I live in Chennai, the act of living for me is not irregular, it's not momentary. It's a habitual thing or indefinite thing for me. I am not telling you when I started living there, or I am not giving you any, you don't get any information from this sentence that when I will stop, when I will discontinue living in Chennai. So this information, this type of information, when we get from the verb, these things are called aspect. So tense is one part which tells you time. It is one type of abstract category in a sentence, and aspect is another kind of information, and that is another kind of abstract information that we get from a sentence. So when I say I I live in Chennai. This zero marking remains only in present tense, but we can say I also say I lived in Chennai. This has marking for past tense, but no marking for aspect. This is a still indefinite aspect or habitual aspect, because in this one I am talking about the indefiniteness of my living in Chennai in the past time. Whatever time I am talking about, naturally I'm talking about past time. In that time, my living, the nature of my living was still indefinite. The situation of my this action was indefinite at that point in time. So you understand these two, indefinite aspect and continuous aspect. There are different names for that. There is something called perfect aspect. Perfect aspect simply means completion of the action. Completion of the action. How do I give you an example? We can say what can be an example of a perfect aspect? You can say I have written.
Sir, can I say something?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, maybe she has lived here all her life.
Yeah, we can. No, wait. She has lived. Yeah, you can say that. Yes, that's a good example. She has lived here. She has lived in Chennai all her life. That's a good example. Look at this example I have given you. I have written 2 books. Okay. This tells you that written. This is an example of perfect aspect. And have tells you about present tense. Now you can have a question that how is it possible that something is complete, that should be past tense, but we indicate it in present time. That we do for the situations of recent past. That it means I have recently finished write 2 books. I have written 2 books. This information is in recent past, which is in present tense. So again, the strength of human communication or human language, we can talk about something that is complete also in the present tense. It is called perfective aspect. As opposed to that, I can say I had written 2 books. In opposition to the previous one, it is, if you understand the relativity of time, in terms of relativity, we are talking about that was recent past, this is remote past. So when we bring in the past tense, we make that distinction, and it is called past perfect. So many times you see terms people use present indefinite or past indefinite. People use present continuous, past continuous, present perfect, past perfect. So present is tense, information about tense and time. And when we say indefinite, continuous, or perfect, that is about aspect. So this is called aspect. And the last one is called continuous, perfect continuous. Perfect continuous. Sorry, who was speaking a minute before? I did not look at the name. She has been, she has lived. You said she has lived all her life in Chennai. Yes, that is perfect, present perfect. And there is something called perfect continuous. And for that, you can say, if you have, she has been living in Chennai. This is an example of present. Am I Right, Kartika? Is this correct? Shweta, are you around? Can you look at this? Is this correct? She has been living in Chennai. It will be an example of perfect continuous. She has been.
Sir, that'll be perfect continuous.
Sir, I think if you can specify the time, that will be more.
Well, yeah. You can do that. You can do that.
Yeah.
You are right. But I'm
I have been studying since 3 hours for 2 hours.
correct. You are right. You are right. You can do that. But I am restricting myself only to the continuous, perfect continuous.
Yeah.
You can add that information, and you can add many more in the sentence. But yeah,
Right.
that will be perfect continuous. So anyway, in short, particularly when you are interested in that, I am trying to tell you that these are abstract features of language, though they play very crucial role. And I believe, I want to tell you, you are in a very small group here, a small number today. In my method of teaching and learning, which are not very different from, one is not different from the other, we don't need to be scared of or afraid of complex grammatical structure of language. It looks complex. It's the nature of grammar is complex, but it's not the complexity of language. Please understand the difference between the two. Grammar is like mathematics. Once you, I mean, if I'm sure all of you know this thing better than I do, that if you look at somebody's notebook where you have done only arithmetics or algebra or geometry, they look like abstract codes. Nowadays, people don't write much with hands, but if you have seen or if you have done these things yourself, solving algebraic or or even physics numericals, they are all mathematical and they look like gibberish and code. Underlying structure, a description of underlying structure of language, which is known as grammar. The simplest definition of grammar is a description of underlying structure of language is like that code. And I tell you once or forever or maybe multiple times, I don't hesitate saying these things. In order to improve our language, particularly correctness and accuracy in our language, we need to understand underlying structure, whether it is at the level of words or sounds or more more at the level of a structure which is known as grammatical structure. We need to know these things in order to make our understanding of this more in our command. You will, I don't know to what extent who agrees with me, and this makes you feel confident and comfortable. Therefore, it is important to know. However, and for learners, you can avoid these things for some time. You can say, I only want to learn to speak. But if you are learning to speak without getting the abstract understanding of it's not like, learning language is not like living in a house. Let me give you this metaphor. When we live in a house, we want the comfort of the house. We don't want to know how the foundation of the house is created, how doors are created, what the different aspects of civil engineering. We don't need to know civil engineering. But learning language is different from living in a house. If you want to know language properly, you need to know what makes language. If you want to use sentences accurately, you need to know what makes a sentence accurate. Where do we fall when we make mistakes? If we know these things, then you never have to go to the grammars or commonly known mistakes or common errors or all these things you never have to do. I'm not criticizing any specific method, or I am not criticizing any particular way of teaching. I am only telling you what I believe about or what I understand about learning of language. Anyway, Subjunctive mood. Are these things part of your this week's lecture, this week's thing, or you are just asking me general things? I mean, I have no problem. I can explain these things to you. I'll definitely explain. But are these
Sir,
things
it
this
belongs
week?
from third week, yeah.
Yes, sir. Week 3, sir.
Okay, not a problem. See, mood. Please listen to that, and if you want, you can read a little bit. There is a lot of materials available online. Usually, we don't recommend those things because of copyright issues and also because of the accuracy of those things. Mood is another aspect of grammar, another aspect of sentence, which is in contrast with tense. All sentences which have any mood, they are not tensed sentences. So a sentence in subjunctive mood will not have any tense. So subjunctive sentences are very close to imperative ones. Like there is an overlap between subjunctive and optative. Can somebody give me an example of a subjunctive sentence or an optative sentence? I know Om Prakash has talked about these things. About mood, yeah, there will be more. We realize the complexity of that, and we have created more. You will little later. I don't know. I mean, I know, but right now from the top of my mind, I don't know the exact sequence when they are coming. There are some explanations of these things in a smaller chunks that Karthika has created, and there are some descriptions of these things that I have created. I roughly remember these things. They will be coming up for you. But can anybody give me an example of subjunctive mode, a sentence in subjunctive mode? Yeah. He has just given. Just introduce these things. More is coming for you. More you will see more on mood, because we know modal explanation is important at an advanced level. So you know the sentences like "May the king live long," "May you live long." Well, forget the king. "May you live long."
Sir,
So
like this, any word start from, any sentence start from "if I were the king."
no, that is not. That is not subjunctive. That is
Sir, but it is given in the example of that slide.
okay. That is okay. Let me take a look at that. Okay, but
Okay,
so
sure.
basically, if I were the king, right?
Yeah, I were a king, yeah.
If I were a king, now
Yeah,
you understand that were in this sentence is not a past tense marker, right?
yeah.
So this is what is the meaning of mood. Meaning mood in. Okay, please understand what is not there in the video or what will come later.
Yeah.
Mood is in contrast with tense. So any sentence, so there are moods like subjunctive moods or optative moods, or you are going to see more about modality, because mood comes from modality in sentences. So an imperative, indicative, and subjunctive, these are three moods, three types of moods.
Yeah.
So even an imperative sentence like leave your slippers before you enter the room,
Yeah.
or give me a glass of water. These sentences do not have any tense. Or
Yeah.
if you think carefully, these sentences cannot have any tense. Leave your slippers. The bare form of the verb can make you think like it may be present tense, but
Present
it's not
tense,
present
yeah.
tense. It's not
Yeah.
present tense. It's
Yeah.
not present
Yeah.
tense. So it's
It look
simply
like
without
that it is present, but it is
correct.
not.
Similarly, if I were the king, were looks like
Past tense.
past tense. It's a past tense marker, but it's
Yeah.
not the tense marker at all.
Right.
So important part about mood is to understand mood is in contrast with tense. All mood sentences do not have any tense. Understand that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. It's
So,
and we express our certain types of feelings like wishes or I don't remember all of them. We usually express our I'm talking about particularly subjunctive mood. We express our wishes or several other things, several other types of feelings through sentences in subjunctive mood.
Okay. Sir, in the slide, it is given that for hypothetical situation, emotions or making requests.
Correct. So those are all wishes or emotions. They are. You see, many of emotions can be hypothetical in nature. Now there is a huge connection between how we think and how we express what we think. Between and therefore these complexities of language is required for expressing and explaining those things. Yes. All right. Anything
sir,
else? Guys? Yeah.
sir, I have another adjunct related question.
Go ahead.
Uh, if we were asked the number of adjuncts in a sentence, should we count the phrasal adjuncts besides the adverbial clauses if present?
If you are asked, tell me the number of adjuncts, yes, you can count phrasal adjuncts also. If you are
Along
asked,
with the adverbial clauses.
along with clauses, yes. If you are asked, tell me the number of adverbs, you can still count them because they are all adverbs. If you are asked only, tell me the count of adverbial clauses, then you can count only the clauses, that is one which looks like a sentence, not just the phrase.
Okay, sir.
Yes. But is the difference between adverbial and adjectival clauses clear to you, all of you?
Yes, sir.
To some extent, at least. At
Yeah.
any point you run into any difficulty with these things, meaning these a sentence where you are unable to describe whether it's an adjectival clause or an adverbial clause, or for that matter, any example that Professor Chaudhary has used in anywhere, please do send them to us. We will help you do that. Because the more the clarity you have, the lesser the difficulty you will have ever in your use of language. Not just, I'm not only talking about few weeks that you are with us in this course. And at one point, you can do these things yourself. We are not talking about rocket science. Once you understand these things, you can teach these things yourself. Other people have no questions? Cherian, Sudhiti, Shobhit? No?
So
So
sometimes I got confused that how to identify object.
there is no way. You see, I will tell you, very simple test, Ayush. You take the verb and question the verb with what?
Yeah, but I have seen sometimes it is coming like from the question whom as well.
No. Oh, whom. That is in ditransitive verb. That is called indirect object. And if I haven't described that to you, wait for that. It's coming to you.
Yeah, because you have talked in the video that we got the answer from what, but sometimes I have seen that it is coming from whom as well. As
So
you
that
just
is
said.
whom is the answer to indirect. What comes as answer to whom is indirect object. And the question of indirect object comes only when you have two objects.
So it will come in only ditransitive verb.
Ditransitive verbs, yes, correct. Only in ditransitive verbs.
Okay.
So a sentence like I teach English to online students.
Yeah.
To online students is answer to whom? I teach
to whom?
What? That is English. To whom? This question comes only in ditransitive verbs. And then there are some cases where you will you will need little bit more than what and whom. You know, in English, a verb like I met with a doctor. I met with my doctor.
Yeah.
Is a transitive verb. You cannot say I meet, right? I sleep or I go. Meet is a transitive verb where it takes an obligatory PP. So there are some cases where you will not see. Don't worry about that. Right now, all I want you to understand is there is something called transitive verb. Transitive intransitive distinction is very important. And verbs decide about the objects, and therefore it is part of the predicate. And there is a close connection between verb and object. That's an important part.
Yeah.
All right.
I think more or less we that understood.
Okay, if that is clear, then that was the intention.
Sir, I got little confused, sir. Are the phrasal adjuncts also adverbs if the phrases are present in a sentence?
They are phrasal adjuncts are also adverbs. You see, adverb, what is adverbs? Adverbs is a type of category. It could be phrasal or it could be sentential or it could be lexical. Lexical means word. Phrasal means like you have in mind in a lavish way, and sentence is after the rain is stopped. These types of sentences. I continued my evening walk. So whether it comes in a phrasal way or a sentential way or a lexical way, they are all functionally adverbs. And the reason why they are also called adjunct is because they are not required, they are not complements in a sentence. Adjuncts are in contrast with complements. So they are not complement in a sentence, they are adjunct in a sentence. So I think what is causing you difficulties or confusion is these multiple terms like adverbs, adjuncts, and then different types of adverbs like lexical adverbs, phrasal adverbs, or sentential or clausal adverbs. So, but if you pay attention to these things, they are not complicated. They are very simple to understand. All right, is that clear?
Sir, for example, if there is a sentence like the boy of Paris with blue eyes drinks tea peacefully. So peacefully is an adverb, and
Right.
with blue eyes will also be the adverb.
Correct. See, with peacefully is a lexical adverb. It's a word, right?
Okay. Yes, sir.
And with blue eyes is phrasal adverb because it is prepositional phrase, right?
Okay, sir.
It's
Yes.
not just a word; it becomes a phrase. So it's a phrasal adverb. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
And you can also say something like, what was this? What was your sentence? The boy
of Paris with blue eyes drinks tea
boy
peacefully.
from Paris with blue eyes drinks
tea
beer
peacefully.
peacefully after everybody went to sleep.
Okay.
So after everybody went to sleep is a clausal adverb. It's an adverb. Okay. So in the same
Yes.
sentence, you can have lexical adverb, phrasal adverb, and clausal. But all their functions are adverbial, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Glad. So now you are only 9-10 people left. So it's what time is it? That's all right. Time is not. So shall we, if you don't have any other questions, shall we stop then? We have an entire tech team with us waiting. And I see we had Shweta and Meena. Aishwarya, is Meena?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Meena,
sir.
welcome to this live session, Meena. Is this your
Hi.
first time?
Yes, first time at the live.
Okay, glad to see you here, and then we will talk about the details later. So, other than this, Aishwarya, Kartika is not here. Oh, no, Kartika is here. Aishwarya, Kartika, Shweta, and Meena. There are only a few people, 8-9 people. So, and if you don't have any other question, then can we stop here, guys?
Can I ask something?
Please go ahead.
In the sentence, the student looked bored, the teacher talked and talked. Sir, what is wrong in it?
The student looked bored. What is this? Say, the student looked bored.
Students looked bored, the teacher talked and talked.
Kartika?
Yes.
I remember I have seen this sentence somewhere. Can you remind me?
Yeah, it is from practice assignments, question number 7.
Yeah. So what is your question, Ayush?
What is wrong in it? Because it is saying false. I think it is correct.
It's with regard to punctuation. Is
Yeah,
there a comma?
Yeah, there is a comma. Yeah. In
There is a
between.
comma, and is it followed by an and?
No.
No, right?
Yeah. Got it. There should be a semicolon, right?
No. If you have a comma, if you use a see these both are independent clause. Okay,
Yeah,
so when
yeah.
you're connecting two independent clause together,
Okay.
and you want to use a comma, then you need to put a
Okay,
preposition. I'm sorry, you need to put a conjunction according to the context.
Right. There should be and.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Got it.
Yeah.
Right. So in that case, it will the two independent clauses will become a compound sentence. Clear, Ayush?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So if you have more questions, just send it to us. We will also answer them and then keep them. If you can hold them for another few days, then we will meet with you next week.
Sure, sir. Will there be any more session before 30th?
What happened? What is there on 30th?
I think is quiz going to happen.
If there is a Sunday before 30th, we will meet definitely. I don't know. What is today?
Today is
30th
itself is a Sunday.
30th itself will be Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So meet with me after the quiz and you can ask me after that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
If you have queries, put it in the discussion forum. We will answer it and there. So
they're in discourse, right?
yes.
Yeah. The tech team is sorting that out. Last time there were questions from some other batches also. Please use discourse.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
In
ma'am.
online quiz, how there will be audio type questions? Because we were required to keep the internet off during the process.
Yeah, you don't need internet for listening activity.
There will be listening activity, and there will be adequate instruction for that. So don't worry about that one. If you have any difficulty, let us know about the quiz. Okay, after the quiz. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, guys. Then take care. Most of the people are gone. So see you again. Some people are totally quiet, but see you again next time. Who will talk to? Who is there? Sri Balaji?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
Everything okay?
Fine, sir. No issues.
No issues. Okay. Good. When can we start recording, Sri Balaji?
I think now you can give us a slot, sir. We can find out a way. No issues.
Really? Okay. Very soon
You-
I'll talk to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will talk on offline.
I know. We will talk about that.
Okay.
All right. Please terminate.
Okay, sir.